Oh my goodness. Happy All Saints Day. What a day it is. As I was thinking about it, I realized this is a day, so many special parts, so many particular movements, that it just stirs a myriad of thoughts and feelings, don't you think? And let me not just sort of make assumptions about what it might stir for you. Let me actually hear from you. Let me invite you to just shout out. As you came into this sacred space and you looked at this ofrenda, so thoughtfully, powerfully, poignantly put together, what thoughts, what feelings did it stir for you? Just shout them out. Wow, joy, grief, ancestors, gratitude, glorious, gracias a Dios, delight, respect, right, hope, comfort. Here it is, all of this. And then as we began to be bathed in the music of Mozart's Requiem, quite possibly the most spectacular Requiem ever composed, as the music and the sounds washed over for you, well then, what stirred? What thoughts stirred? Shout out again. Bliss. Magnificent, awe, peace, beauty, thoughtful, angry, fear, right? A myriad of thoughts. Sadness and confusion. There you go, right. And so then as we're sort of bathing in it, in that long extended peace, then there's another piece of music that follows. For all the saints, it's what they call a chestnut in Episcopal terms, right? It's one of our great. And then for me, maybe for you, the mood, the thoughts changed, did they? You start singing for all the saints. We have this spectacular procession. Well, so then what? Then what are the words that come to mind? Pride. Beauty, the future, longing, right? There's just, again, another wave of feelings, of thoughts. This music, this All Saints Day. All Saints Day is a day with so many pieces that it creates a sort of thin place moment. To borrow a phrase from Celtic spirituality, that is a moment when the earthly and the spiritual becomes almost permeable. When we not only remember those who have passed, but we can almost touch them. We can have a palpable feeling of their presence. And I know for me a palpable feeling of the divine's presence as well. All Saints Day, this celebration. Many of you probably know this is a Christian celebration. That is to say, it's a celebration that all the Christian churches around the world are capturing in one form or another. And for us here at All Saints Church, there's even a particular layer to that, right? This is our naming day of sorts. This is our feast day. That's also Episcopal language. I was talking with Susan about this earlier in the week, and she commented, she said, I think it's just sort of perfect that our feast day here at All Saints is a non-binary day. Because we have no patriarch, we have no one matriarch. Instead, we celebrate all the saints in all their created glory. Thanks for the sermon assist there. What a day with so many thoughts, so many feelings. And let's not forget the gospel that Chase read a few moments ago. Let's not forget that. It's Luke's version of the Beatitudes. I say Luke's version because Matthew has his version, and for those of you who are frequent to churches, you probably know Matthew's version better. It's filled with blessings, only blessings. And the words, as Matthew speaks about who Jesus will bless, well, the words they can be interpreted in ways that are spiritual, are figurative of sorts. So maybe for those reasons, Matthew's Beatitudes are the more favorite version. But today we get Luke's Beatitudes, and today we cannot spiritualize or gloss over the language that Jesus has used. Because they are particular, they are concrete, and they are very real. They speak to the human condition that was so familiar in Jesus' time and so familiar in our time too. Look, Luke's gospel sets the tone for the particular concerns of the hungry, the poor, those who are scorned, sets concerns for them at the very start, before Jesus is even born, right? If you know of Mary's Magnificat, she sings a song of thanksgiving to a God who will fill the hungry. And if you know of Jesus' first sermon in the temple, where he takes a scroll, he chooses what to read from that scroll, and he reads from Isaiah. And what he says is, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to let the oppressed go free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Do you see? Luke's Jesus is very clear who his heart centers on. It is the poor. It is the oppressed, which is why in these Beatitudes, Jesus says, "You who are poor are blessed. You who are hungry now are blessed, for you'll be filled. You who weep now are blessed, for you'll laugh. You are blessed when people hate you, when they scorn and insult you and spurn your name as evil because of the chosen one. Your reward will be great in heaven." He's speaking to give them endurance, to give them hope in their suffering. But then he shifts. He shifts his focus, and he shifts his tone, and he shifts his message. He shifts from blessings to warnings and woes. Does he not? He says, "Woe to you who are rich. Woe to you who are full and hungry. Woe to you who laugh now." Can't you imagine that the people who were listening in the crowd surrounding Jesus, that maybe their heart began to beat a little faster, and maybe their knees began to tremble a little bit? Or am I just projecting? You know, I hear these woes, and I like to imagine that Jesus is looking straight at some people I know these days, like, I don't know, maybe our president. and his conspirators, I like to imagine Jesus is looking at them and saying, "Woe to you." Now that I'd be a fly on the wall for, right? But not so fast. I know as a person of privilege, and I think so many of us, as people of privilege, we have to examine our own social location and ask ourselves, well, where do we fit in between these blessings and these warnings and woes? What would Jesus be saying when he looked at us? It makes me tremble. I want to rush past that question. And yet, this day, this All Saints Day, and its myriad of emotions and feelings, it has to include a very real examination for us. Where do we fit in between these blessings and woes? We, with our own various places of privilege and good fortune. Where do we fit in? These days, we need to be asking that question because, not just because it's All Saints Day, but because these days, with the government shut down, think about what's happening for the hungry. Some 42 million who benefit from the SNAP program, their SNAP benefits are at the very least suspended and quite likely might be even further delayed. What would Jesus say about that? Think about what Jesus would say as those who benefit from the Affordable Care Act are standing there wondering if their premiums might as much as double in the year to come. I read one survey where those reported, they said that 4 out of 10 will choose to go without health insurance just so they can continue to pay for their own housing. What would Jesus have to say about that? These days when because our government is shut down, our Head Start offering, which provides childcare, health, and educational programs for those who are living at the poverty level and below, that program is going to be suspended. What would Jesus have to say about that? And these days when it seems like people are being insulted and ridiculed and scorned all the time. And let me just add, not simply on Capitol Hill, but all around our country. What would Jesus have to say about that? Whoa. Thank you for that sermon assistance. So what do you think? What do you feel? Look, I want to admit something to you. The sort of futuristic part of the Beatitudes, I don't fully understand. I don't fully understand what happens as we move from this realm to the next, and the notion of heaven, and you know, I kind of want to imagine I'm there. And I don't fully understand what happens in those eternal days, but I sure don't want to imagine that my eternal days are going to be filled with woe. I'm not alone, am I? Right? But where do we fit in between these blessings and these woes? I don't know exactly about this future, but I do know something. I do believe something from the bottom of my soul, the depths of my being. I do believe something about this present moment now, and that is that you and I have the power, have the agency to participate in the blessings that Jesus speaks of in today's beatitude. We have that power to be blessings. Blessings in the Hebrew tradition were to say, I see you. Blessings were to say, I care about you. You are in my heart. You are on my mind, and I am here for you. You and I, right now, have the agency to participate in those blessings, don't we? When we see the hungry who are sometimes in our pews, sometimes out on our streets, we can do more than just say, I see you, though. We can bless them by participating in the food programs that are here. We can bless them by turning to a back page of your bulletin, this Sunday's bulletin. Don't do it now, but you look there and you will see that we are starting a collection for Friends Indeed. There's a bar scan there. We can bless them. You go out on the lawn and you will see that we're going to be partnering with Hillsides, which cares for children and youth and families that are living on the margins and that are vulnerable. Find out about those offerings, because that's a physical, tangible way that we can bless the hungry. We can bless the poor, not simply by saying, I see you, but by working and voting for programs that create economic opportunities and economic justice. Even if that means that we might have to do with a little less ourselves. We can bless those who are scorned, who are ridiculed, who are insulted. Not simply when we pass them out there and saying, I see you, but how about by inviting them in here and saying, I want to be with you. You are a part of this community. You belong here. You are beloved here. We can bless in that way too. Can we not? Imagine that as we celebrate All Saints' Day. Did I not mention that this is a day filled with a variety of thoughts and emotions? It is so evocative. What is stirring for you? These saints have left us with lessons to inspire us about how we might be our best selves. Sometimes they've left us with stories that remind us of our brokenness too. This gathering, though, reminds us that together in the communion of saints, by the grace of the divine, we can find our way through burdens and struggles. We can find our way to offer blessings to one another, and maybe even by the grace of God, find our way to be blessed ourselves. So where do you, in this moment, find yourself between Jesus' blessings and woes? I suppose that's one question, but let me suggest there's a more immediate question for you to consider. And that is whether or not you will participate in Jesus' blessings in the days to come. Amen.